I'm telling you, absolutely no case, no money ever exchanged, never got billed, no retainer.
Simon Cowell is known for his tough, no-nonsense attitude, but something just happened that left him in tears. And it all involves Courtney Hadwin. The young powerhouse stunned the world with her jaw-dropping voice, earning a golden buzzer and a spot in music history. But behind the scenes, her journey took an unexpected turn that no one saw coming. What happened to Courtney that shook Simon to his core? And why is the music industry in shock? Stay tuned. This story is as emotional as it is unbelievable. The rise of a legend. It all began in a quiet coastal town in England. Hartlepool, to be exact. A place where life moved at a slow, familiar rhythm and where no one expected a future rock star to emerge. But inside a modest home, a young girl was about to rewrite that story. Courtney Hadwin was never the kind of child who stood out in a crowd. In fact, she was painfully shy. Speaking in class felt like an impossible challenge, and she often faded into the background. But the moment she picked up a microphone, everything changed. Her parents noticed it early on. At home, she would sing along to songs, her voice raw and powerful, carrying an energy far beyond her years. It was as if, through music, she became someone else entirely. Still, no one could have predicted just how extraordinary her talent was until the day she stepped onto a stage for the first time. At around 10 years old, Courtney performed at her school's talent show. It was nothing grand, just a simple stage, a few rows of plastic chairs, and parents watching with polite curiosity. But the second she started singing, the atmosphere shifted. This wasn't just another nervous child whispering lyrics into a microphone. She was electric. Teachers exchanged glances. Parents leaned forward in their seats. Something about her was different. That moment sparked something life-changing. Encouraged by her parents and teachers, Courtney started entering competitions, performing at local music schools, and refining her stage presence. But it wasn't about being polished or perfect. It was about passion, raw and untamed. And she had it in abundance. Unlike most kids her age, who idolized modern pop stars, Courtney was drawn to the legends: Janis Joplin, Etta James, James Brown. She studied them obsessively, not just their voices, but their movements, their intensity, the way they commanded the stage. For her, music wasn't just about singing. It was about feeling every note in her bones and making the audience feel it too. By the time she was 12, Courtney had made a name for herself in the local music scene. She performed anywhere she could: small festivals, open mic nights, and local venues. Every time she stepped onto a stage, it was as if she transformed. Off stage, she was still the quiet, slightly awkward girl from Hartlepool. But under the spotlight, she was unstoppable. Then came the moment that changed everything. The Voice Kids UK in 2017. Standing before the judges, she looked nervous, uncertain, but the moment the music started, everything flipped. She launched into a fiery, raspy performance of Tina Turner's Nutbush City Limits, and within seconds, jaws dropped, judges' eyebrows shot up, the crowd erupted. It was happening again. That same undeniable energy that had once filled a small school auditorium was now lighting up a national stage. Danny Jones, the judge who chose her for his team, knew instantly that she was special. She advanced far in the competition, wowing audiences with her ability to channel the raw power of classic rock icons. But The Voice Kids was just the beginning. It was proof that she had what it took. The world just hadn't realized it yet. In 2018, just a year later, Courtney Hadwin walked onto the stage of America's Got Talent. What happened next would be unforgettable. From the moment she started singing, there was no denying it. This was a voice that couldn't be ignored. She wasn't just another contestant. She was a force of nature, and the world was finally about to take notice. But could she actually deliver? How did a girl from a small English town have this much soul? Why wasn't she already famous? Let's find out. Courtney Hadwin's AGT journey. The stage was bigger, the pressure was higher, and this time, the entire world was watching. When 13-year-old Courtney Hadwin stepped onto the America's Got Talent stage in 2018, she looked like any other nervous contestant. Small and shy, she gripped the microphone with both hands, her eyes darting around as she faced the panel of judges. she was supposed to come out. And then they said she's so scared. Can we wait? Hi, welcome to America's Got Talent. Simon Cowell, Howie Mandel, Heidi Klum, and Mel B. They greeted her kindly, but there was a hint of doubt in their expressions. After all, they had seen plenty of young hopefuls walk onto that stage, dreaming of stardom. Then the music started, Hard to Handle by Otis Redding, a bold and unexpected choice for someone so young. And in that instant, everything changed. Gone was the timid girl from Hartlepool, England. In her place stood a powerhouse performer, as if she had just stepped out of a 1970s rock concert. Her voice was raw, raspy, and filled with soul. She didn't just sing, she commanded the stage. Her body moved with the rhythm, arms swinging, legs stomping, every ounce of energy pouring into the song. Within seconds, the audience was on their feet, cheering wildly. The judges were stunned. Before the last note even faded, Howie Mandel slammed the golden buzzer. The crowd erupted as golden confetti rained down, and Courtney stood frozen in disbelief, covering her face in shock. Howie rushed onto the stage, declaring that she was a star, comparing her to the legendary Janis Joplin. Backstage, her family burst into tears of joy, overwhelmed by what had just happened. That single moment changed everything. Overnight, she became a viral sensation. Her audition video racked up millions of views within days. People couldn't stop talking about her. But America's Got Talent wasn't just about one jaw-dropping audition. Courtney had to prove herself again and again. In the quarterfinals, she took on James Brown's Papa's Got a Brand New Bag, hitting electrifying high notes and dancing with pure energy. The semifinals, Tina Turner's River Deep, Mountain High, where she cranked up the intensity even more. Every time she stepped onto that stage, she left the audience buzzing. That end up on this show you're watching right now. You are not from this era, and I'm a huge Janis Joplin fan. By the time she reached the finals, she was one of the most talked about contestants of the season. For her final performance, she chose Piece of My Heart by Janis Joplin, bringing her journey full circle. The comparisons to Joplin had followed her from the beginning, and now she embraced them fully. It was a performance filled with fire and passion, a fitting way to close out the competition. But when the results were announced, Courtney Hadwin didn't win. The grand prize went to the magician Shin Lim. Some fans were outraged, believing she had been robbed of victory. But losing AGT wasn't the end. It was just the beginning. Shortly after the competition, she landed a record deal with Psycho Music and Arista Records, an opportunity most young artists could only dream of. Even Simon Cowell himself saw her potential, believing she had the talent to become one of the greats. She returned to AGT the Champions in 2019, further cementing her place in the industry. But fame is unpredictable. One moment, you're the internet's biggest obsession. She was still young, still discovering her sound, and making the transition from a reality show contestant to a full-fledged artist wasn't easy. Her AGT journey had put her on the map, but what came next would define everything. As she would soon learn, the road ahead wasn't as smooth as everyone had imagined. The spotlight moves on. Courtney had gained worldwide recognition, but now came the real challenge. Could she turn that viral moment into a lasting career? Let's take a closer look. Maneuvering the music industry. Winning America's Got Talent wasn't the key to success for Courtney Hadwin. I'm a little bit nervous. She could barely speak when she came on stage. It was like, hello, what's your name? She had already won over the world. By the end of 2018, she had something even more valuable than a trophy. A record deal with Psycho Music and Arista Records. For any young artist, this was a dream come true. A chance to work with some of the biggest names in the music industry and turn viral fame into a lasting career. But the music business isn't just about talent. It's about timing, momentum, and sometimes forces beyond an artist's control. The pressure to prove herself was immediate. Fans wanted an album. The industry wanted to see if she could be more than just a reality show sensation. Instead of diving straight into original music, she took a different approach. In 2019, her first official release, The Cover Sessions, featured classic songs that allowed her to showcase her voice in a professional studio setting. It was a solid introduction, but it left one big question hanging in the air. Transitioning from a competition show finalist to a full-fledged recording artist wasn't easy. On stage, she was electrifying, raw, unpredictable, and magnetic. But recording music was a different challenge. It required precision, production, and a willingness to adapt to an industry that often pushes young artists toward a more mainstream sound. Finding the balance between staying true to her gritty, soulful style while meeting the expectations of a major record label wasn't simple. Then, just as her career was picking up momentum, the unexpected happened. By early 2020, she was in the middle of planning a major project. Studio sessions were underway, and talks about live performances were in motion. But then, the pandemic hit. The music industry came to a grinding halt. Tours were canceled. Album plans were put on hold. For an artist still trying to find her footing, it was a devastating setback. Amid the chaos, she parted ways with her record label. The details of the split were never made public, but by 2021, one thing was clear. Courtney Hadwin was going independent. For many artists, leaving a major label can mark the beginning of the end. But for Courtney, it was a new beginning. Instead of rushing to release an album under industry pressure, she took her time. She experimented, wrote new music, and figured out exactly what kind of artist she wanted to be. In 2023, she made her long-awaited comeback with a series of original singles. Breakable, That Girl Don't Live Here, and Monsters, the latter of which climbed to #1. 19 on Billboard's Hard Rock Digital Song Sales chart. This was Courtney on her own terms, not just the teenage sensation from AGT, but a musician carving out her own path. Her music had evolved, blending rock, blues, and soul in a way that felt uniquely her, and her fans were still there, rooting for her every step of the way. By 2024, she was stepping back into the spotlight in a big way. That year, she performed at the New York Pop's 41st birthday gala in honor of music industry legend Clive Davis, a sign that she was gaining recognition beyond the world of reality TV. Later that year, she recorded live versions of her songs at Metropolis Studios, capturing the raw, unfiltered energy that had always set her apart. It felt like a turning point. After years of struggle, reinvention, and patience, things were finally falling into place. But just when everything seemed to be aligning, life threw her another unexpected challenge. Only this time, it wasn't about the industry. This time, it was personal. And as the news spread, it became clear. This wasn't just another career setback. This was something far more serious. Could she create original music with the same magic that had made her AGT performances unforgettable? Let's explore further. Life after AGT. Fame isn't just about the music, the standing ovations, or the viral moments that set social media on fire. It's not just about signing record deals or hearing the roar of a crowd. The real test begins when the cameras stop rolling, the applause fades, and the world moves on. For Courtney Hadwin, the journey after America's Got Talent, singing, a teenager from County Durham who wowed the judges on America's Got Talent is preparing to take part in the live rounds of the show, was anything but a straight road to stardom. It was a twisting, unpredictable path filled with sky-high expectations, the politics of the music industry, and the personal struggle of discovering who she was beyond the. By 2024, she wasn't the 13-year-old sensation who left audiences speechless with her raw, old soul voice. Courtney Hadwin. She's 13 years old. She is so shy and so awkward. She was now a young woman, an artist trying to carve out her place in an industry that had claimed her before she even had the chance to figure out who she wanted to be. From the outside, it looked like everything was falling into place. She was creating music, booking performances, and earning recognition beyond her reality show roots. The transition from viral fame to a lasting career is one of the hardest challenges any artist can face, and Courtney was no exception. The music industry has a way of taking young stars and either molding them into something marketable or forgetting them entirely. She refused to be turned into a polished, predictable pop star, but finding her own space in an industry that thrives on trends wasn't easy. Everyone had an opinion on what she should do next. Some insisted she should embrace rock and become the face of a new musical revival. Others pushed her toward a more commercial, radio-friendly sound. And then came the comparisons. Every interview, every article seemed to mention the same names: Janis Joplin, Tina Turner, Amy Winehouse. She admired them all, but she wasn't trying to be them. She was trying to be herself, but the pressure didn't just come from the outside. It was internal, too. She had spent years proving she was more than just a reality show contestant, but sometimes it felt like no matter how much she evolved, people only wanted to talk about what she had done, not what she was doing now. Music had always been her escape, but even that came with new challenges. Writing original songs was a whole different world from performing covers. On AGT, she could take songs people already loved and make them her own. Now, every lyric, every melody had to come from her. It was liberating, but it was also terrifying, because this time, she wasn't just interpreting someone else's emotions. She was putting her own heart and soul on display. Still, she kept moving forward. Her performance with the New York Pops in 2024 was a major turning point, a reminder to the world that she wasn't just a former reality TV star, but a true artist with something to say. Her recent recordings at Metropolis Studios had finally captured the raw electric energy that had set her apart from the start. For the first time, she felt like she was on her path, not the one others had mapped out for her. So, what's the relationship between Simon Cowell and Courtney Hadwin? Let's find out. The connection between Simon Cowell and Courtney Hadwin. The moment Courtney Hadwin stepped onto the America's Got Talent stage in 2018, there was one person who immediately recognized her uniqueness: Simon Cowell. At first, it didn't seem like he would be one of her biggest supporters. After all, Simon had built his career discovering and shaping mainstream stars, artists who fit neatly into the music industry's mold. He had launched One Direction, helped Kelly Clarkson become a global sensation, and guided countless other performers towards superstardom. But Courtney was different. She wasn't polished, predictable, or packaged for the pop charts. She was wild, raw, and unfiltered, and Simon saw it right away. Even though it was Howie Mandel who pressed the golden buzzer, Simon was paying close attention. As the competition went on, it became clear that he wasn't just impressed by her talent. He respected it. He saw something rare in her, something that couldn't be manufactured. Courtney wasn't the kind of artist who could be molded into a pop star. She was pure instinct, a performer who sang from the depths of her soul rather than from a carefully rehearsed script. That made her special, but it also made her a challenge for an industry built on formulas and predictability. After AGT, Courtney signed with Psycho Music, giving Simon a direct role in shaping her future. There were high expectations. Many believed she could become one of the few true breakout stars from a reality show. Simon believed in her, not just as a contestant, but as an artist with the potential to stand the test of time. However, he also knew that success wouldn't come easy. The music industry thrived on catchy radio hits, polished vocals, and carefully planned careers, none of which suited Courtney's wild, untamed energy. She wasn't meant to be confined to a recording studio. She came alive in front of an audience, feeding off the crowd's energy. That kind of unpredictability made her extraordinary, but it also made her difficult to fit into the system. Simon had seen this before, artists with raw, unfiltered talent being reshaped to fit the industry's expectations. Sometimes it worked. Other times it stripped them of what made them special. He didn't want that to happen to Courtney, but there was only so much he could do. Eventually, she parted ways with Psycho. It wasn't personal, it was just business. She needed creative freedom, and the industry wasn't designed for that. There were no public hard feelings, but that didn't mean Simon had stopped paying attention. If anything, he was watching even more closely. Simon had a habit of keeping tabs on artists he truly believed in. He had done it with Leona Lewis, Susan Boyle, and others who didn't quite fit the mainstream mold. And Courtney had always been on his radar. Whenever her name came up in interviews, he spoke about her with admiration. He still remembered her first audition like it had happened yesterday. She wasn't just another contestant to him. She was a rare kind of artist, the kind that reminded people why music mattered in the first place. Courtney, for her part, never spoke negatively about AGT or her time in the industry. She had always been grateful for what the show had given her: the stage, The exposure, the chance to do what she loved in front of millions. There was an unspoken bond between her and Simon. He had spent his career making stars, but some stars don't need to be made. They just are. And deep down, he knew Courtney was one of them. She didn't need to be reshaped. She just needed the world to catch up to who she already was. But fate has a way of testing even the brightest stars. And soon, something would happen that neither of them could have predicted. Something that would shake Simon to his core and make him realize just how much he truly cared. Courtney Hadwin car accident. Late one evening, whispers of troubling news about Courtney Hadwin began to spread like wildfire across social media. At first, the details were murky. Reports mentioned a sudden hospitalization, but no official statement had been made. Despite this uncertainty, speculation quickly spiraled out of control. Some online sources hinted that exhaustion might be the cause. Others suggested something far more serious. Then, a shocking new claim surfaced, one that changed everything. Courtney Hadwin had reportedly been in a car accident, and it was bad. The crash was severe enough that she needed immediate medical attention, though concrete details remained scarce. Still, the mere possibility sent waves of panic through her fan base. Fans flooded online forums and comment sections, desperate for answers. But the most disturbing part of it all was the deafening silence. No family members, no representatives, no close friends stepped forward to confirm or deny the reports. The people who usually handled her public appearances and social media presence remained completely quiet, refusing to acknowledge the growing concerns. And it wasn't just fans who were shaken. Even those connected to America's Got Talent were deeply concerned. When Simon Cowell first heard the rumors, he reportedly brushed them off, assuming it was just another exaggerated internet story. But as more details surfaced and the reality of the accident became harder to dismiss, his reaction changed. According to sources, he became uncharacteristically quiet, glued to his phone, checking for updates again and again. Then, in a rare moment of raw emotion, he broke down. Yes, Simon Cowell, known for his tough exterior and years of experience in the music industry, broke down in tears. For Simon, this wasn't just another contestant. Courtney Hadwin was different. She was one of the most extraordinary talents to ever grace the AGT stage, a performer many believed to be a once-in-a-generation artist. He had believed in her potential, watched her career unfold, and now, just like everyone else, he was left waiting, hoping for good news. At this point, no one could say for sure what had really happened. No official medical reports had been released. No statements from her family or management had surfaced. The uncertainty only fueled more speculation. What do you think about what happened to Courtney Hadwin that moved Simon Cowell to tears? Share your thoughts with us in the comments section. Don't forget to like and subscribe.